ever touch a heart, let it show. Touch my art and rock with the flow. If anybody ever touch a heart, let it show. Love to everyone, me know your brother. Everywhere you go, me want follow. America, Jamaica, all overseas. Enough love, touch a heart for we. Touch my art and rock with the flow. If anybody ever touch a heart, let it show. Touch my art and rock with the flow. If anybody ever touch a heart, let it show.
Hello, my name is Tamora Lee, also known as Bloom from She's Not Jamaican. I am one of your hosts from Blooming Worldwide, and I would like to let you know a little bit about the show. This show is a 30-minute TV show about entrepreneurship, careers, and employment across the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. Hello, welcome to Blooming Worldwide. Today our guest is international entrepreneur Tamora Lee.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So tell us, how did you get started?
I basically I run a company called Tamora Lee Jewelry, and I basically started off my business online. I graduated from college here in Buffalo, and during my studies for business school, I wanted to actually apply some of the knowledge that I wanted to actually learn. So instead of doing case study, I decided to actually create a dummy company, which I created, Tamora Lee Jewelry. And as I began to apply all the skills I learned in business school, my business started taking off. I kind of I'm going to turn this into something a little bit bigger, and I branched off and I started Tamora Lee Jewelry. And I'm an international online jewelry supplier. I do style shoots. I sell all over the world, and the basis of my company is sustainable fashion.
Okay. How do you gauge entrepreneur success?
Well, how I gained my success, I owe my success to actually basically networking, research, not only schooling, because sometimes mostly in school, when you're in business school, you're just learning case studies, but I actually went out and I networked. I started doing research, and I actually emulated companies where I wanted to be. So I actually went to trade shows. I flew all around the world studying materials with vendors, suppliers. So it was pretty much like 3 years of footwork and research and networking.
Would you say that that's how you learn how to become an entrepreneur?
Well, I learned, basically, I tell this to every entrepreneur, find a company that you want to emulate. The first thing you want to do is work there. I mean, because a lot of times people rush to judgment and want to go into a certain field or business or industry. You will learn more from the inside out. So what I did, I applied myself, started working for several companies, and I learned all the knowledge firsthand. How do they do the suppliers, how the supply chain works, how stuff gets manufactured, how stuff gets produced. So pretty much everything I learned was hands-on.
How do you handle all the responsibilities that comes with being an entrepreneur?
I think the first key to being a great entrepreneur is organization. I myself had to learn this. I had a great mentor, God rest his soul. He was big on being organized and actually knowing the structure of your company. Because sometimes as an entrepreneur, we could have tunnel vision and just focus on one aspect of our business. You have to be involved from start to finish, and you have to be organized. So once you're organized, if something happens, you're able to actually counterattack issues and problems, because you're organized, so you can backtrack and find other elements to fill in the gaps if something goes awry. But organization is like big, and time management. I would say that's the most important part of being an entrepreneur, being in business period. Time management and organization.
Okay. You said you have a mentor. So how did you connect with that mentor?
Well, actually, when I first started school, I was actually studying for music, and there was a gentleman, he was part of a jazz group, and I used to help them with their business, and they're like, you're really good at the business side of things. Why don't you kind of finagle and start focusing more on things that are going on in the business of music? So that's what I did, and he sort of showed me the ropes. I started learning contracts. I started learning how booking agents work. I started learning about touring, and then I landed a job with an entertainment company, and that's how I pretty much started focusing on, the entrepreneurship of branding in music and fashion.
How did you decide who to network with? Because it's so many people to connect with. How did you sort through everyone?
Well, basically, I started off by doing my own research. Research was the focus of my studies in school for marketing. So what I started doing, going to these big, humongous trade shows. I'll never forget, my first one was with Forbes magazine. They had this like little mixer, and I was like, what the heck, I'll just go in and start networking. And from that, I started getting business cards, and then people, as you network and meet people, tell you what they do. They find out what you want to do, and you'll be surprised how much, help you get from other entrepreneurs and people who are in business, because you see these big companies, and you never think that they would give you the time of day. But if you have a product or a service that they believe in, and you go out there and you network, you begin to attract the right type of people. But it goes also back to the organization and time management, being in the right place at the right time, knowing the language of every industry. You have to know how to communicate. You have to know different business structures. You have to know the culture of every business. And it's just all that comes from researching and being organized and, and being in the right places.
What is your goal of globalization?
Right now, I'm a part of a huge group that focuses on sustainable fashion, where our main focus is making people aware about the fashions that they wear, because there's so many companies that are actually poisoning the environment, and we're actually killing ourselves for these wonderful clothes that you go buy for $5 or $10, but we're not understanding the domino effect of what it's doing to the environment, what it does to the economy, what it does for jobs, especially being from the United States. We don't really manufacture anything. So it's a big impact not only on our GDP, but our health. So it's all about forming these groups and being a part of something that you're making a voice that, hey, I create this is one of my pieces, create pieces that are actually safe for the environment. They're recyclable. And I make pretty much 80% of my jewelry is made out of recycled materials. So I did it to show people that you can get really good quality, well-made garments, accessories, but you don't have to kill the environment to do it.
So where are you centrally located?
Well, my business is predominantly online, and I'm actually in the works of creating my own mobile app, because mobile shopping is the future of retail. So I'm pretty much global. I'm based here, and I'm based in New York City or Brooklyn, so I'm between both places. But the vision for my brand is to be a Buffalo-based global brand that's predominantly sold on, through your mobile phone. So it's like online shopping meets mobile, and I'm taking all of our elements from fashion film to music, and I'm blending that together, and that's how I brand myself. So for example, you may think you're watching a music video, but you're actually watching a fashion film that's actually bringing awareness not only to my designs, but to what's happening in the global society, of, sustainable fashion. So you're sending a message, but subliminally.
So what challenges did you face personally running your business?
I think the biggest challenge I faced, I think so much people focus so much on race, and I saw that as not a big challenge. The challenge was me being an American, because this fashion industry is run pretty much, Italy, so it's just, honestly, we have this perception that because you're from America, that we don't know anything, we don't produce anything of quality. So it's sort of like being the underdog was a benefit to me, because if they expect less, now they come in with these fabulous pieces, they had no choice to be like, oh my God, you're American, you're doing this, and you're sustainable, and you're aware, and you know jewels, and you know the quality. So it was, to me, that was a challenge, because we have this kind of stigma of, you know, dumb Americans, we just want everything right now. So I learned the culture of everything that I do. So if I make a piece and it's based on Indian culture, I make it with the respect for the culture as well. So I'm very knowledgeable on the history, the culture aspect of everything that I make. So I think that was my end with a lot of, you know, these brands and companies.
What are the benefits of being an entrepreneur in Buffalo?
I think, I won't say Buffalo, the benefit of being an entrepreneur is like, basically you're self-sufficient, you're working for yourself, you have close community ties, you can make your own decisions, you're in control of your own time, and you actually be able to do something that you feel passionate about and love. And it's not really about the money, you know, it's about what fulfills you, you know, from within. So I think that's why, you know, I do what I do. It's not so much I'm focused on the fame and the glory, it's more about being satisfied for yourself.
Do you think that you overcame those challenges that you faced so far?
To me, I look at every challenge as positive, because, you know, in the laws of nature, you can't have a positive without a negative, and you can take that negative energy and transform it into something positive. And I look at it, even though people see Americans as just a consumer, I want to be a reflection that we do make real good quality goods here still. This is the foundation of manufacturing. There are people here who still believe in that, you know, essence of homegrown goods that are locally, that can go international. So it's just seeing is believing, and I think the more we as entrepreneurs network outside of the country, we can bring more awareness to those people who are, you know, doing things just like I'm doing it.
We're going to break for our sponsors, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you. Here's a quick shout out to our sponsors of Blooming Worldwide.
Listen, me need you to understand something. The child's been fending for herself since she was a young girl. She's been fending for herself since she was 11 years old, you know.
How I got my nickname? It's by throwing people off cliffs.
Bunch known for both her strength and cunning wit.
It's not all she was known for.
Hey, you interrupt me stories again. I'll feed you to my Corona, and they'll finally realize what the true meaning and cunning wit.
It's not all she was known for.
People don't bother me too much. And I don't bother them unless they get on my bad side.
I know you've been helping that girl grill.
Of course me have.
She's been stealing from Dirty Cash and Billy Jailbird.
Say what now?
I done got stuck with pretty things I ain't proud of.
Sure, you're messing with the wrong chick today. Me a natural born killer. But your ratchet chicks tried to take my bag.
But you recognize the seed if you like to pin on it. Someone you love won't block the Holy Spirit. Why you're not focused on what you should be? You're 2 steps away from your true destiny. But you recognize the seed if you like to pin on it. Someone you love won't block the Holy Spirit. Why you're not focused on what you should be? You're 2 steps away from your true destiny. You know about long suffering. So now understand me New Testament. From 12 years old, me think me too angry, think me too hurt. Pray the Lord to choose me. No time, me go through stages of grief. Me pick me, renew me belief in the chief. But you recognize the seed if you like to pinpoint it. Someone you love won't block the Holy Spirit. Why you're not focused on what you should be? You're 2 steps away from your true destiny. But you recognize the seed if you like to pinpoint it. Someone you love won't block the Holy Spirit. Why you're not focused on what you should be? You're 2 steps away from your true destiny. Me that started pressure not get the best of me. Me lose both me auntie and me mommy. Disconnection with me and family. Me forgive so got to give all we. Me don't feel for tell them who I am. Me
can never be the queen of the damned. Me don't feel for tell them who I am. Can never be the queen of the damned. Me don't feel for tell them who I am. Can never be the queen of the damned. Me don't feel for tell them who I am. Can never be the queen of the damned. Everywhere me go, people chat about me. Them not seen a really hate Jah in me. Me no business with thing them I try. It not me fast so we walk on by. Everywhere me go, people chat about me. Them not seen a really hate Jah in me. Me no business with thing them I try. It not me fast so we walk on by. Bye. But you recognize the seed if you like to pin on it. Someone you love wrong, like the Holy Spirit. Why you not focus on what you should be? You're 2 steps away from your true destiny. But you recognize the seed if you like to pinpoint it. Someone you love wrong, like the Holy Spirit. Why you not focused on what you should be? You're 2 steps away from your true destiny.
Welcome back to Blooming Worldwide. Welcome again our guest, Tamora Lee, international entrepreneur. And she is going to talk to us a little bit more about her business.
Now, thank you for having me again. I also brought you some goodies so people can get an idea. I know we were speaking earlier about made in America and made in New York, and I'm a firm believer that we need to get back to, you know, more things made in America. Yeah. And this hat, I mean, if you go to your local New Era and all these other sporting stores, you have to be mindful of what you're investing in. This whole hat, the quality is the same. This is produced right here in New York City. You know, right, based out of Buffalo, produced right here. So there's no reason why we have to outsource, you know, elements of manufacturing when we can make good standard quality goods here. This brand here is called Rebel Behavior. I started off in the music business. I worked with Sony for 7 years. Before that, I worked with Universal. So I'm fully aware of, you know, all the branding and from start to finish that they do with all the bands and artists. So this brand, Rebel Behavior, is more driven towards male, but it's more about the artists. Like everybody who I involved in all my projects, they're artists, whether it's musicians, whether it's a basic artist, but it's sort of like formula. Rebel Behavior stands for we're actually going against the grain, where you may see a guy who's probably a mechanic, but that guy actually writes books. You may see a guy who plays football, but he actually writes poetry. So it's showing the other side of the stigma that you don't judge a book by its cover. Okay. You know, and then I also use this to support artists, people who are just starting off. You may want to co-brand with me. You got a music video, you know, that we could work together. So it's all about artists coming together for a good cause and actually going against the grain and diffusing negative stereotypes. Because you see somebody in a rock band, you don't assume that they're all drug addicts. You know, because you see somebody who play jazz, don't assume that they don't know mathematics or they don't do cooking. So it's just diffusing all these stereotypes. So that's what Rebel Behavior stands for. Okay. And then with this technique, I work with the German guy. We came up with this technique. It's called 3D embroidery, where it looks like 3D. And then going forward, I'll have like, in the future, I want for all my clothing and t-shirts and jackets that I create, they're going to be solar panels placed inside of them where our phones are glued to us 24/7. So you could be able to, when you put that phone in your pocket, you're going to be able to charge your phone or your iPad or what have you. But this is, you know, just another sample of a snapback. And then with this too, in all my work, I try to employ local people, you know, local artists. This was made by a local artist right here from Buffalo. You know, so we got to employ each other. We got to support, you know, other artists and other entities, especially based out of New York State. We came up with this logo. This is another element that we use, original silk screening, because that's another dying side of this industry. So this is actually a shirt created by myself and a local graphic designer here in Buffalo. Therefore, while I'm promoting this, I can actually employ local people and actually help them with their business too. So we're actually helping each other. Yeah. So, and this is done 100% cotton. All this, even from the ink is eco. So I'm like really serious about my eco-friendly movement. So we can create. I mean, you're looking at this, you can feel it yourself. Okay. I mean, this can last forever. You don't have to poison the environment to create good garments. And I want to be that company, you know, that leads the way for other indie companies to understand that you could be indie small, but you could still be global and make an impact on the environment as well.
Okay.
And then this is another piece of a jewelry for the men's line. This is a part of my business for Tamora Lee is all my stones I use have metaphysical purposes. So you may look at this and be like, oh my God, this is super hot, but your hematite you use for stress and different things. So, and this bead I created again with another artist, you know, because I love the Pac-Man game. So we used that element and we created this interlocking, you know, piece of bead. So you wear the pieces. Some people care about the metaphysical aspect and the crystals. Some people don't. So I create good pieces that when you're wearing this is actually doing something for the body as well.
That's very nice.
So.
Okay. So how do you feel that you mostly compete with the larger companies? I know that you learn from them, but how do you kind of, you know?
Well, I think there is my goal. I mean, I don't look at competition as like something that I fear. I look at competition as something that I embrace. But I have noticed over the years, there's big companies that actually are copying me. So to me, that's a compliment. Like here, you know, like you're actually complimenting me. Well, my goal going forward is to actually push this brand that you have a bigger company who want to actually come on and invest. Because a lot of these brands are actually scrambling because it's hard for them to go sustainable overnight. So let's find likeness of products of people that are out here already and in business that we can invest in. You know, I actually did a presentation for a big company last week in New York City who's looking to invest. So it's all about putting your products and your name in the right places and actually being structured and organized that you are a functional business. Because a lot of times with entrepreneurs, we want all this investment, but you have to have yourself in order, you know, for people to take you serious. So I take everything I do, whether it's a small show of 50 people, whether it's a couple thousand, I do every show like it's my last, like I'm doing it in front of 1 billion people. So you have to take it serious and, you know, in consistency, you know, and people watch you. You'll never be, I get letters from all over the world, like, what can I do to help you? We believe in your movement, come to Europe, you know, and that's how it starts. Each one teach one, and you'll be surprised. And finally, funny enough that most of the people that supported me in my first 5 years, it came from the Europe side of things. You know, seeing, you know, where my product is going, seeing where it should be. And companies are like, look, we won't even charge you to cut your metal because we see what you're doing. We believe in it that much. Come on in and meet with us. Same thing with the shirts. There's a company that's based out of New York City. Oh, we won't charge you to print it because we believe in your movement. So there's tons of companies out there. You just got to find other companies that you can partner with, because that's what it's all about right now. Collaboration and, you know, building with other companies that has your likeness.
So when you did partner with them, there's a certain amount of trust that you must have.
Well, my company, Get the Buzz 716, that's my incorporation. Underneath Get the Buzz 716, I have Tamora Lee. Then I have Tamora Lee Jewelry, and I have Rebel Behavior. My incorporation, I build trust because coming from the music side, I was branding bands for 9 years. And I was one of the few people in the label, I did every job. Where I'm like, I want to see, I followed once you got signed, I followed you. Like, okay, you have a photo shoot, let me go in, and even though I wasn't getting paid for it, I want to see how everything works. I started networking from there and getting involved and making suggestions and just researching. And that's how it goes. And from the music side of things, they trust you with their vital information. So I run a tight ship. From A to Z, and companies see that. I have tons of references. This is what I've done. You know, I keep track of everything that I do. I keep a log of everything I do, take pictures, video. So, you know, there is a lot of legalities when I'm working with companies and branding. I mean, I'm signing paperwork probably about this thick. But, you know, it's worth it because I'm learning other ways that I cannot brand myself along with working with these companies.
Okay, I see. That sounds wonderful. So what's new in 2015?
Well, what's new in 2015, I'm super excited. Actually, Uncle Sam's Army Outfitter, which is the company based right here in Buffalo. They're the largest supplier of U.S. Army gear in the world. And get this, the largest supplier of Army surplus in the world. So you have all this surplus sitting around. I approached them a couple years back about taking that surplus and partnering with designers and myself to turn those collections, turn that clothing surplus into collections. I mean, it was a hard road, and I tell everybody as an entrepreneur, don't take no for an answer. You may get 10 no's the first time, but keep going. You got to keep coming back, and and circling back. So this year, we did a collection, and we launched it at Brooklyn Fashion Week, and that collection was called Repurpose Reuse, and that was a collection that I collaborated with 4 other designers. And then this past fall, we actually launched Made in Buffalo, the collection, at New York Fashion Week. We got huge reviews. I got interviewed by the New York Times. And going forward, we are launching an internship program right here in Buffalo, where we're going to actually be seeking out local designers and local interns from the colleges, because Buffalo's off the radar with what they consider not a fashion city. So I want to give people here the opportunity to have good things they can put on their resume. You're learning firsthand knowledge, and you're actually applying real knowledge and real skills. So when you go for that job, you got to compete with Parsons and FIT, then students coming from international. You'll have that experience, so you'll have one up against them. You already work for a company. You already manufacture goods. You already did design work. So you already know the business element. So it's just hands-on, because when I started going to school here, there's nothing here, that you can go to and get that knowledge because you're so far away from the city.
Is that why you went to New York City?
Yeah, I actually, when I was going to school here, I wanted an internship, and I'm like, I want to go right to the top. I'm going right to the big companies. So I actually went to the company. They had like a open internship. I walked right in, and me and the one of the managers for the department kind of like hit it off, and they offered me a job right away. So, and after that, I started working in every department. I work with every genre of music. I'm probably one of the few industry people that I can work with any genre of music. I know how to market it, I know how to package it. So why other people who come into the business, they just focus on their thing. I only want to do hip hop, I only want to do R&B, where you're only shortchanging yourself. Well, I did jazz, I did blues, I did rock, I did indie, I did pretty much everything. So I'm familiar with the culture, I'm familiar with who their audience are, and I'm familiar with the products and the branding.
Okay, I thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming. You gave us a lot of wonderful
thank you for having me.
Knowledge today.
And then if anybody on your audience wants to go, they can just go online, Get the Buzz 716, just how it sounds, the word get, the word the, and the word buzz with 2 Z's. 716, you can just Google me, and if you have any questions, getthebuzz716@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you. And that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. Blooming Worldwide.
So, if anybody ever touch a heart, let it show. Touch my art and rock with the flow. If anybody ever touch a heart, let it show. Love for everyone, me know your brother. Everywhere you go, me want follow. America, Jamaica, all overseas. No love, touch a heart for we. Touch my art and rock with the flow. If anybody ever touch a heart, let it show. Touch my art and rock with the flow. Love for everyone, me know your brother. Everywhere